Hey guys, Chris here with the Good Old Gamer. So yesterday I posted this video and it's done extremely well. So I want to welcome all of the new subscribers to the channel. And there were a few bits of information in there that, according to the comment section, it looks like I should have been a little bit more clearer with. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about a couple of things here today. And the first one being the reason why I'm saying that AMD is basically done for. And I showed you guys all the evidence, but I didn't spell it out, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go through that with you here in just a second. And I've actually got a really good comment that really kind of surmises the whole mentality of the average gamer, I guess you could say. And I want to show that to you guys. It's a really good comment that I think really exemplifies what the real problem is. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So let's get started. So the main takeaway from the video, as far as saying that AMD just basically can't compete with NVIDIA, is when I was showing you the RX 570 in comparison to the GTX 1060. Now, the RX 570 is superior across the board, even in NVIDIA titles. I'm not going to go out there and hunt down graphs and stuff. You can do your own homework on this. There are no games where the GTX 1050 Ti beats the RX 570, and the RX 570 wins by a substantial margin in certain titles, especially in like DirectX 12 titles and things like that. The key takeaway here is that AMD have to sell a superior product. This is an objectively superior product to the GTX 1050 Ti at $129 or $139 or somewhere in that range. They also have to give you 2 free games to sell these. So that's an additional cost. Probably only runs AMD about $20 for them, but still, that's an additional cost in there to compete with what NVIDIA can sell at $169. And in reality, they're not really competing. And NVIDIA can get away with selling this at $170. And they're continuing to sell these on a regular basis. And the reason why the RX 570 has to sell at $129 is because it's not selling at the higher price point. The MSRP on this is $179. So to move the products and actually sell them, they have to lower them and bundle free games. NVIDIA doesn't have to do that. And as I mentioned in the other video, there were a lot of reasons for that, but it mostly comes down to marketing. And NVIDIA has done such a good job that AMD simply cannot compete. They have to sell a superior product at an inferior price. And that doesn't make any sense. Now, there was a lot of comments saying, well, they're still making money selling these cards. Well, sure, they're probably making some money selling these cards at these prices, but this isn't like you're going to the supermarket and you're looking at cereal. I like using cereal for an example for this. There's like 400 different people out there that make cornflakes, for example. So you have a lot of different options there. When it comes to PC gaming graphics cards, you really only have 2 options at this point. So it's not like people shouldn't know about these things, but the average person doesn't. And that was kind of my point in the last video. So AMD's marketing has hurt them so bad that they have to sell a superior product, an objectively superior product, at an inferior price. So this way they're making far less money off of their graphics card than NVIDIA is. And that's just the simple fact. And there's just no business model where your competition, when you only have one competitor and you have to sell your products at a lower price at all times, even when they're that much better. I said in the video yesterday, if they were able to sell the card at the same price as the 1050 Ti, that'd be okay. Even though it's a better product, it would be at the same price. But they're not, and they can't. The reason why the price is so low is because they're trying to move out inventory. Now, a lot of people were saying, hey, well, what about Navi that's coming out soon? They just want to clear out inventory. Well, the 1050 Ti is going to be replaced here in just a couple of days or few weeks or whatever when the GTX 1650 comes out. I mean, that's basically the same price point that this is. So this is actually going to be replaced first, but these are still selling. That's the point. At these price points, this card is still selling. AMD has to drop the RX 570 to this price point to move product. That's the problem, and that's what I was talking about. And that's one way for you to be able to objectively see what the market is reacting to. It doesn't matter that AMD has the better product. People still aren't buying it, and that's the whole point. All of you guys out there saying, well, Navi's going to be so good. Doesn't matter how good Navi is. It really doesn't matter because nobody is buying it. Everybody's been recommending the RX 570 for a long time now, ever since the price points came back to normality, pretty much ever since after the mining boom. crashed, they went ahead and said, hey, the RX 570 is objectively the best graphics card at the sub $200 price point. And it's been that way for several months now, probably over 6 months at this point. But people are still buying the inferior card at more money. And as a company, you can't do that forever. You can't sell better stuff for less money till the end of time. To really hammer it home even further, let's take a look at the Steam hardware survey right now. So we have the 1050 Ti sitting at basically 10% and growing. The RX 570 is sitting at 0.28%. And yeah, it's growing by 0.05%. So the argument that the crypto boom really had some major effect is kind of null and void here, because obviously that's been done for a little while, and while it is growing in market share, it's not even growing as fast as the more expensive and weaker GPU from NVIDIA. So right there is your proof that it doesn't matter. Even if it's faster, even if it's cheaper, even if it's better, even if they give you free games, AMD will not sell product at the same level or even near the same level of NVIDIA. It's totally over. That right there says it all. They need to change the whole game and start over. That's why I said they need to step away from the market and basically reboot their company from the ground up when it comes to this. Now, in the CPU side, they're doing just fine, and we all know that they're doing well, and I'm very much looking forward to Zen 2. And that's the main priority of their business, is to get that up and running, because that's where they're going to make money. They're not going to make money in the graphics card market, so there's no point in them sticking around. That's the reason why I said it's better for them to step back, reboot the whole company, reboot the image, and start over in a couple of years. But that's just my opinion. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. But the objective fact is that they cannot sell products, better products, at lower prices. All right, sorry, I got a little bit heated there, because to me it's plain as day, and I understand not everybody's mind works the same way as mine. But I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there, because that's a clarification that a lot of people apparently are missing. Hopefully it makes sense now. I kind of hit it with a hammer, went with the blunt force on that one. But I also wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to Pojat. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that. He actually posted this comment on here yesterday, and I think this perfectly exemplifies what the average consumer's mind works like. See, mine doesn't work that way, so I really appreciate comments like this. So this is really great. So let's get into it. To be honest, if NVIDIA and AMD cards are the same price, NVIDIA wins, and this is because of all the extra stuff, like Shadow Play, Ansel, etc. AMD doesn't have these extra features, or if they do, no one knows that they exist. I'll touch on that here in just a sec. I know I could use other software, but NVIDIA Shadow Play works easily, and it's not much of a performance hit when I need it from time to time. AMD would need to beat NVIDIA on performance and price by a huge margin, which I just showed you that's not enough, for me to leave these extra features that NVIDIA offers. Also, for the average user, NVIDIA has a lot of features to promote that are something else other than technical numbers. AMD only has numbers to market with. So basically, well, he explains it pretty good here. Average customers don't understand numbers or technical items or terms like HBM2 memory or memory bandwidth, but NVIDIA has lots of stuff that has names like Shadow Play, Ansel, DLSS, and ray tracing, which ray tracing, I think he meant RTX, but they're actually equating ray tracing to NVIDIA because they were first to really bring it up. So NVIDIA owns that in the consumer's minds now, which that's how it works. These name features sell, and just random tech numbers don't sell. Tech numbers don't sell. These names can be easily Googled, explained, and remembered from ads. Okay, and then he goes on to talk about the way he buys stuff, which doesn't really matter to this. But essentially, he's straight up saying he doesn't realize that AMD has something competitive to Shadow Play. He has no idea that Relive exists. A lot of people out there still think that AMD has inferior drivers to NVIDIA, which nowadays, that's actually one spot that they win. AMD does have superior drivers, and I'll actually show that to you guys here in a second. But nobody knows that they exist, and that's it. He hit it right there. He hit that nail right on the head right there. They don't know that it exists, so it doesn't matter. And nobody cares about performance and performance numbers. That's not what consumers want. That's not what they're interested in. And he hit both of those right on the head. Now, you have to have good performance, and you have to have a good product. Otherwise, reviewers and other people aren't going to recommend your products, and therefore they're not going to be marketed. So you still need to have a good product, but the consumer does not care about performance numbers. They don't care about what memory. They don't care about memory bandwidth. They don't care about benchmarks. They don't care about any of that. None of that matters. You will not win in the GPU market focusing on that stuff. You have to have them to be able to be competitive and, like I said, to be talked about, mostly due to the influencers and that side of things. But if everybody's talking about your inferior product, and that's what everybody is talking about and all your friends have, it doesn't matter. This is what people are going to buy. So it all ties itself together. It all comes down to marketing. And marketing is the only thing that matters if you want to succeed in the graphics card market. As enthusiasts, that's like the last thing that we care about, because we don't care about Ansel and Shadowplay. Yeah, it's nice, but doesn't really matter. But, you know, like a lot of the other features, DLSS and RTX, most of us don't care about most of that stuff. We might care about one thing here and there, but we don't care about all of it. I do like Relive, and that's something that I'll show you guys here in a sec, like I said. But it ultimately just comes down to what people are talking about, and that's it. It's marketing and buzzwords, and that's how you win. And AMD sucks at this. Think of Hairworks versus Tress Effects. Hairworks, what does it do? It makes hair better. It works with hair. It's very easy to remember. Tress Effects, what the hell does that do? What can you glean from that name? The only reason why I know about it is because I've researched it. I looked into Tress Effects versus Hairworks and things like that. Average people are not going to do that. So you can't put Tress Effects on a box and then expect people to be like, oh, that's got Tress Effects, so I totally want that. It's because it just doesn't have that catchy of a name. Now, FreeSync, this is one area that AMD won. G-Sync sounds cool. FreeSync has the most powerful word in marketing right in it, and that word is free. That is the most powerful word in marketing. I've been in retail and sales and forever, pretty much. And that's the most powerful word in the freaking world. So FreeSync has beaten G-Sync to death. It has won. This was capitulated over at CES. So that was actually done well. But a lot of the other marketing that AMD does, Relive, that's not really catching on, apparently. This is something that's been out for a couple of years now, and this poor guy, he has no clue about it. And it's not really his fault. Nobody talks about it. So how the hell is he supposed to know? And, you know, this, I'm assuming by the way that he's speaking here that he's an average person. He's not a super enthusiast person. He either that or he can channel the average consumer in his mind very well. This is how normal people think. And if you want to experience that for yourself, look at another industry you know nothing about. Maybe you need to upgrade your cabinets or something. Go do some homework on cabinets. You're going to do like I just did yesterday. You're going to Google search about cabinets until you either learn or you'll just find something that's like, okay, that's a price point that I'm okay with. It looks good. And then you're going to buy it. That's the way that average consumers work. And I know a lot of you were kind of giving me grief about that. No, that's not how people do things. That's exactly how people do things. People go to Google, put in the search that they want, look for the answer, and once an answer and a solution to their problem is found, that's it. Nobody's got time to deal with anything past that. We all have lives that we want to live. So that's the way people actually do things in reality. All right, so I wasn't originally planning to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what AMD's new drivers look like. Okay, first off, the Radeon settings, it just looks infinitely better than what NVIDIA has. What NVIDIA has looks like it's still back from the Windows XP days. It's still functional. I mean, looks are whatever. It doesn't really matter. But at the same time, you have everything right here very clearly marked right in front of you. Relive, which is basically just Shadowplay. All you have to do is click on it, and you have all of your settings. You can set up hotkeys, you can record the desktop, you can turn it on, set your folders. I mean, there's nothing crazy here. If you've used Shadowplay, it's the same thing. And then you also have access to things like the Radeon menu. By hitting Alt-Z, just like with the NVIDIA software, you pop up and boom, there you go. You can record, you can change settings, you can do whatever you want in here. You have Wattman, you have chill. I mean, you have all of these features right here. So this is actually very, very much superior to that of the NVIDIA control panel because that only has a few different options. And here you can literally see your settings if you don't want to use something like MSI Afterburner. And speaking of Wattman, one of the really nice features, for example, you can actually set up custom profiles for individual games. So if you wanted to set, one game up to overclock, maybe that game just requires more to run or something, you can do that individual per game overclocking, which is awesome. There's a lot of tools inside of the new AMD software that you don't get with the NVIDIA software. So there's really no way that you can say that this is a inferior experience. Now, as far as drivers go, I've heard issues from NVIDIA people, I've heard issues from AMD people, but honestly, from my use, I don't have any issues with any of my drivers from either of these companies. AMD's done a really good job over the past few years making sure that they've had day one drivers for new games. That was one of the main issues that they had. That's working out fine now. They don't have any problems with that, so they're on par with NVIDIA there. So, as far as I can tell, they're as good or better. To all of you people out there that say that that's not the case, it is the case because I own both cards. I own both of them right now. I have an RX 580 right in front of you, and then I have a GTX 1060 in another PC. And I use them to compare each other because they're relatively similar. But I wanted to just show you that. Looks like I got updates. I'm going to deal with that here in just a second. I just wanted to get this video out to clarify a few things because a lot of people seem to miss the obvious unless I spell it out. So I really wanted to spell it out for you guys here today. This is the reason why I'm saying AMD needs to change something dramatically. Just bringing out better products is not going to cut it. That's not enough. They need to rebrand and remarket everything. The other thing that I'd recommend is keep a naming scheme, just like NVIDIA. You have like RX and then keep the numbers and keep them going. Just make them bigger each generation. Don't get rid of this stupid Radeon 7 thing, this Fury thing, the Vega thing. Get rid of that nonsense. Just get rid of it. You have to keep it simple. Plain and simple, you have to keep it simple. You have to make it easy and digestible for people that will do about 2 minutes worth of research into your products. And they need to know which one's better just by a glance. And the simpler you can make it, the better off you're going to be. So that's pretty much all I have to say on this subject. I have a bunch of other videos and stuff that I want to do, but I wanted to do this kind of follow-up here. But I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm really interested. I really do appreciate everybody who's been commenting. The last video is up to almost 1,000 comments. That's crazy. Thank you guys for that. I mean, some of them, like I said, they're driving me nuts because I failed to explain things properly, even though I thought that I did. So that's the reason why I'm doing this video here, but keep them coming. And I'm really glad that we're having this conversation because this is important. If you're an enthusiast in the market, you need to understand where things are. You may not see things the same way that like myself or Paul or Jim or the way that we do because we have to. And we read the comments all the time and everything else, and that really helps us out and get a good gauge as to where the market is. So I appreciate all of you guys there. And if you like this video, please hit that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. That really does help me out. And that's all I have for today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.